The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome, listeners and fellow travelers of the world. Greetings from Lovecraft Country, a PapiChuloRadio.com original series. Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. Today is Tuesday, October 20th, and I am your host and tour guide, Derek Anthony. As we travel through Lovecraft Country for the final time, we're going to explore and dissect the latest episode of the HBO series. Please welcome my co-host to our season finale, Jeffrey Aruz.
Welcome back, everyone. It's finale time. Shaboom shaboring, but we won't be.
Priscilla Rocha.
Hey, everybody. We've got a lot to talk about today.
We certainly do. And Vanetta Berry.
D motherfucking Freeman. Hi, y'all.
Oh, I do remember that line from the episode.
Let me open the guidebook so that we can explore season 1, episode 10, which was titled Full Circle and aired October 18th, 2020. Here is the official travel diary of our itinerary. With the book of names now in their possession, the gang returns to Artem to cast the ultimate spell. Let's get everyone's initial reaction to the episode, starting with Vanetta.
Loved it. I have so many other things to say, but I'm just going to give you a quick initial.
I understand. Priscilla?
I loved it. I thought it was great that they didn't just kind of like forget about Gia. I loved that they didn't just forget about Ruby. I love that they had actual consequences for things, and I love that they kind of like they didn't wrap everything up in a bow, but they did answer every question that you needed answered. So I liked that.
And Jeffrey?
Loved it. You know, to echo Vanetta Berry, it was good. It was full circle. Everything was so good. Like so much happened. It was weird because it was an hour, but at times, because so much was going on, it felt like it was more than an hour. I really loved what they did with everyone in the episode for the most part. A couple quibbles, just teeny tiny little things that I have questions about that, just I wish we had a little bit more of. But for the most part, I thought everything was really, really good. Unlike my girl, Angelica Schuyler, I was satisfied.
Well, I ain't like it. They left the main character out. Where was Tree? We've been looking for Tree for weeks.
Lord, he's going to give it an 8 because he didn't see Tree.
I think Tree got left when they went on that trip. They dropped Tree off. Tree was never seen again.
He was traveling to something, so he was
on his way to Philly to see his Philly. No, I'm kidding. I thought it was an amazing episode, and I have a lot of thoughts, and I think some people should not be allowed to be on the internet. After watching something like this, sometimes people need adult supervision when watching something like this, and we will get into all of that. But before we start our journey through Lovecraft Country, here's our announcer with a few special announcements.
Follow Papi Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for Greetings from Lovecraft Country and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. All right. I ain't even take note. I mean, I did, but I didn't because it's so much and so on and so forth. So let's just go through it. First, we pull up because we got to save D. Thoughts, emotions, feelings. I don't have anybody in particular. Let's go with Priscilla. We missed you last week. So I'm going to give you first jab.
Add thoughts, emotions, and feelings towards what? Towards which?
Saving D. Coming back with the book. The curse is almost... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was so sad for a little bit that she didn't get to keep her arm, because for a split second, the last episode, I thought that maybe she'd be able to keep her arm or that it would come back. But nope, that whole maggot infestation spell thing just kind of stuck, and that arm thing stayed, and I felt so bad for her, but it's better than being dead. It's better than being dead. And I thought that whole thing where they brought back the grandmother from the past and they brought back his mother from the past, and Tick just kind of acting like a scared child with his mother and just kind of like cuddling up to her and being like, Mom, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And just kind of relying on his mom was just so, like, it was just acted so brilliantly. It was so good. I loved it.
Vanetta, what did you think about the return of all the ancestors?
I yelled at my computer. I was here by myself watching this. My kids were at their father's, so I just was kind of like, I was on my own. I was by myself. I'm watching it, and I'm like, you better consult your ancestors, and these ancestors better know. One of the very important things when you're discussing ancestors and thinking about what, like consulting them before doing things, whether you believe in the religious spiritual practice of ancestor consultation, or you just an old Black person who believes in honoring your ancestors, the idea is that no matter what that person did in life, when you become an ancestor, you have this, you can see all things. So you can see the beginning, middle, and end of the lives of the people who are still living. And so the idea that the ancestors are coming back to guide them through, and then also talk about, this is where I fucked up, and this is why this thing needs to be done, and it's got to be you, was so powerful. And I don't know if you guys, if any of you are aware of this, but this weekend was the new moon. And there's a lot of spiritual power that happens on the new moon. And there's this big event that we do every year on this third weekend of October to honor our ancestors. It's called the Caravan to the Ancestors. And we go on the beach and we give offering and love to our ancestors, and we sing and we dance, and then we are in spiritual commune with our ancestors. And I just felt so energized by the fact that this episode happened this weekend, right after this powerful thing that happens for us in our community, in connection with the ancestors. Like, that was so strong. And I knew they were going to bring that back around somewhere, because they dropped that hint in episode 3 of Letty communing with the ancestors. In
Hmm.
episode 2, we see the ancestor running out of the house when Tick is bringing the house down. So I knew they had to pay it off, but I was so grateful for the way in which they did and how magnificent it was.
Before I ask Jeffrey, I'm just going to say one of the things that you said, I'm going to completely co-sign. The whole of understanding and admitting your mistakes and the mistakes of the past and trying to correct them. I really felt that. I
Hmm.
really, really honestly felt that. You have to undo what was done in fear. And it's taken us this long to get there. Um, yes. Jeffrey.
Good grief! I don't know if I can add anything more to what Vanetta said. I feel like she was so eloquent in it. I'll just say I loved it. What a different way to open up the episode, because we're in this fight for D, and then all of a sudden, two of our characters get knocked out, and the other two characters are like, "What the fuck? We need you." And so to have them go on this spiritual journey in this sort of ancestral plane that was created by Tick's ancestor, and that she is able to control and manipulate, and to hear two different bits of narration, hearing Nana Hattie talk to Letty, and in essence, it's more so giving Letty an understanding of what she needs to do and explaining a little bit of the ground rules of where they are, and then hearing Tick's ancestor sort of explaining her thought process of magic and what she experienced, and initially being fearful of it, but then realizing that she shouldn't be scared of something that's a natural part of her, and how she's been doing stuff and figuring things out, and that's why she created this safe space for all of her ancestors and all of her family. Like, I loved it. I thought it was perfect how they did it. I loved the cutting back and forth, allowing us the chance to really understand what was going on. I loved the moment that Tick got with his mother. I thought that was really emotional, and it was a great moment for Tick as well. There was a lot of stuff that was going on there, and I think upon like a rewatch, you kind of really understand that this is where Tick knows what he has to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, his mom pretty much tells him that he's got to die so others can live. And, Vanetta knows this as a parent. If you got to give you up to ensure that your child survives, you will do that.
Yes, you will.
You will absolutely do that. I loved when after they did the spell and Letty woke up, the first thing she said was, "I need pen and paper."
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to make sure to get that down. Was anyone else fearful? I don't want to say of Montrose. Was anyone else fearful for Montrose that he would fall back on old ways?
Yes and no, because I feel like so much healing came from their trip to the past. I know it's not a magical fix. It's far more difficult for him to change some of those behaviors. But think in his mind that the entire time he kept thinking, we're going to find a way to beat Christina. And so my baby doesn't have to die, because he felt like I finally have a relationship with Tick. And yeah, I felt I felt bad for him, but I really felt like he was trying to be all in because he was grateful for the opportunity to reconnect, well, to finally connect with Tig, because it wasn't a reconnection, it was a final connection that like he had never had with Tig.
Yeah.
So I felt like he was genuine in his efforts. I was, as much as he tore his jaws with me in so many episodes, I was so not concerned about him this episode. Like I didn't think that he was going to be shifty. I just felt like really bad. Okay, what's like how is that going to affect him? And so then the way they described everything when they came back, I was like, oh, well, maybe I misunderstood because I thought Dora just said you got to die. And so it wasn't until later on that I was like, oh, they got to trick Montrose, you know? It seemed like everybody else kind of got it except Montrose.
Yeah. Priscilla, I thought about you when Tick and Letty are heading down in the elevator, heading back to the museum through the magic pathway. Were you again taken out of the moment?
No, I liked the music. Like again, like it's just every once in a while. Sometimes they pick music that I'm just kind of like, what? Why? But this time around, like it just served to pump me up. Like all the music this episode was pretty good. Like I have again this episode I had like no complaints. I really loved this episode.
I want to ask you guys a question. If you guys heard that my friend got a shout out in
your friend got a shout out.
Show.
I know, right?
I have that.
Ooh.
What? Your friend got a shout out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How so?
Go ahead, Vanessa.
Well, when Hippolyta was talking to Dee and she shows her this comic book and she's like, did you draw this, Mom? And she's like, no, my friend Afua from the future drew it. And I was like, my friend Afua. She posted on her page yesterday that she got the shout out. I was like, I was so proud of you. I mean, I screamed again. My poor auntie probably thought I was dying or something. I did so much screaming and so much like vocalization at my computer during the watching and rewatching of this episode.
Vanessa.
Yes.
How many times did you watch the episode?
6.
No, I'm asking because that's not what happened.
Wait, what? Did I miss something?
She didn't get the comic book from your friend. Your friend taught her how to draw.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So that she could come back.
I got so excited when I heard her name. Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
She got all hyped. No, your friend taught her how to draw so that she could teach Dee how to draw. She named herself a comic book artist.
I didn't hear it that way, but that's cool. I was excited.
When you watch it for the 7th time, you'll hear it that way.
I do because I remember you sent me your friend's Instagram page. Yes. And I said, wait, that name, I know that name. And I went back and looked. I said, oh my God, this is Vanetta's friend. Yeah. Okay. All right. For the shout out.
Well, a lot of times artists get their work in a movie or like some, television show or whatever. And then unless you're combing through the credits or unless they're famous, you don't get their name.
Right.
And you don't get any type of recognition that an artist actually did this work. So it was such a big deal, and that this person is also an artist of color and she's female, and it's just so many things. So I was excited.
So my first cry, because I'm not going to even play. I cried a few times. My first cry was when they did the spell that brought Titus back so they could get a piece of his flesh. And then they had to return the spirits back from which they came. And Tick had to send his mother back and could not finish the spell. That touched me deep inside. Yes.
Did anybody else feel like it was super like powerful that on 2 separate occasions they used their ancestors to help them complete spells?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that goes with the name of the episode, Full Circle.
And you can tell that like the family is like real tightly knit and really cares about each other, as opposed to like Christina, who can't use her family because they all fucking hate each other and they're all awful to one another.
Yes. Which comes up later. Jeffrey.
Yes.
Orethia Blue.
Yes.
We have named ourselves.
Yes. Although Dee wasn't really having any of that.
And I got that.
I did too, but I felt really bad for Hippolyta, because she's trying to explain where she's been and what's been going on. We also remember she's a kid, and she didn't have her mommy. And it wasn't just that she was gone for a week. She was gone for the week of hell for her.
Yeah.
Everything that could have possibly have happened to her during that week. So I understood both sides of the coin as well. But there was a part of me that was really, because I love Hippolyta's journey. And I really wanted a moment where she was able to share that with Dee. And unfortunately, Dee just wasn't in the right mindset for it. At all. Although, we got a little bit of a tease here. Did everyone, when the door opened, really understand what was going to happen?
I did not. I was completely surprised, and it took me by surprise. I was really, I'm not going to say pleasantly surprised, but I was very grateful that I hate when I can watch a show and figure out every single step. Oh yeah, I knew they were going to do that. Oh yeah, I knew it. There were so many twists and turns in this. I loved it.
Another twist got me. This one didn't. This one I was like, I think that's what they're going to do with it. And they ended up doing it. And then it gives us an answer to a question that we had many episodes ago of like, who was that woman that gave him the book and pushed him back? And I was like, okay, I guess this is the answer.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So I want to ask about white privilege. Christina has been a very big part of this whole story. She has always been I feel, she has always been very honest with her intent and such. But what did you all think about her conversation when she came in and asked for the book and went into the whole thing about none of this is personal. This is just for my own gain, and you just need to be okay with that. I'm leaving that open to the floor.
It was the height of white privilege? I mean, listen, just because you say shit in a nice way doesn't mean it's going to be cool. Because she said it in a very nice way. She was like, I have no beef with y'all. Like, I'm just trying to do what I need to do. But at the end of the day, what she needs to do is kill Tick so that she can become immortal. And in essence, Montrose says that without really saying it. I mean, he just blurts out, you want to kill my son. And in essence, that's what it is. And I find it so funny that, and we got this a lot of times throughout the episodes, because I think in essence, she said the same thing to Ruby at one point. She's like, yeah, I mean, he's got to die, but I mean, it's not like I'm killing him. You know,
Right.
I have to kill him because I've been working my entire life on this spell. But that doesn't mean you're not killing him. Like, I don't think she really understands.
Well, what she says is, what she continues to say is that it's not personal.
It's not personal, which
somehow makes it better.
Yes, but you got to kill him.
Yeah.
And so,
well, if it wasn't personal, she could have hijacked her dad's spell. You know, like if it seriously wasn't personal, he could have used her. So it's some way it had to be personal because y'all orchestrated to use Tick, knowing that he was your last other blood relative other than the two of them. So that kind of does make it personal.
Well, it's
So you didn't
personal
want to
in
sacrifice
that
your own.
it's personal in that, as her father said, you know, every beast in its place. You know, you're not one of us. You can't sit with us. You through an accidental, you know, because my ancestor liked to fuck his slaves. You know, you've stumbled onto something that doesn't belong to you. Which, and I didn't bring this out earlier when we were talking about the ancestors, which is something that Tick's ancestor says to Titus, which I absolutely loved, when he got very offended that they were using his magic against him. And she says,
your magic to begin with.
Yeah, it was not yours to begin with. It's stolen. That doesn't make it yours.
Which is an allegory, but kind of the whole thing of what white privilege is in America, especially because the indignation of many white people is that these people, and you can insert whatever otherness into these people, come to this country and take our stuff, take the stuff that you stole in the first place from their ancestors, you know? And in every instance of these people, that the stuff that you stole first can be used. And I think that that's kind of, it was empowering for Tick and Letty to hear and then to completely understand that through the ancestors, because all this time they felt like victims of magic. And through this journey, they have become wielders of it and protectors of it, and understanding its sacred space, understanding its sacred history, and understanding it's not something to be used, you know, to fear and to be used against them, but to honor and to protect.
It's a part of you.
Yeah, it's a part of them.
Which I will tell you, that point for me, I mean, I understood it, but for me, that point was really, truly, honestly brought home when they get back to Letty's house and they all go through the door, but in the frame of the shot is the mark that was left to protect them. And hey, shout out for the neighbors across the street.
Yes.
Yes.
It's integrating shit.
She was a pioneer. The article was right.
The more we get rid of the racist white folk and move in some nice people, the better the neighborhood is going to be. So good for them.
Priscilla, I know that she is one of your favorite characters, and as you said, you were glad that she didn't get left out. We get the phone call to the Drake Hotel, which, let me just say, as a Chicagoan very quickly, I have always adored the Drake Hotel. And one day, and I'm not done this, and when COVID is over, this has been on my bucket list for years, but I'm going to make it happen. I am going to take afternoon tea with my mother at the Drake Hotel, because that has always been a bougie Chicago thing to do, and I've always wanted to do it. But Priscilla,
It's a cool place to walk past too.
Did you do it?
I just used to walk past when I was in college and just like look through the windows and think, oh my God, that is such a posh place.
Yeah. Okay, Priscilla. We call Drake and we hook up with Gia.
Thank goodness. Because for a split second, I thought the show was going to forget about her. And I was going to be like, damn it. Like, that's such a big thread that you guys just forgot about. Why? But no, for them to invite her back into their family, like for Tick to be like, no, what we had together really meant something, and what you're feeling, this emptiness, it's not because you're a monster, it's because you're grieving, and like give her a reason to live. Like that's powerful stuff. I loved it. I thought it was like, I don't know. I got into a little bit of a tiff with somebody online about that, because some people think that she was a bit sidelined this episode, but I didn't think so. I thought that she was used to very well effect, and we'll talk about it later, but like the finale, like the last moments sure do like kind of clinch the deal that like she was very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how she was sidelined. She was she actively, from the time he brought her back from the hotel, she actively helped. She was part of the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I loved what they did with her. I loved that she was welcomed. I think I feel like we all said some sort of crosswords when it comes to Tick and how he reacted to Gia in the last time that we saw her, that we saw him interact with her. And this was the best apology ever. It gave it gave us closure, and it gave them closure, and he explained it in the way that I think we sort of discussed it. Like we felt like this is where Tick was coming from. It's just that he did it in the worst possible way. And in essence, he owned up to it. And I liked that the writers allowed him to, fully apologize to her, in essence say that they are connected and that they're family. And I loved the little bits that we got from her, that her mother had passed and that she was alone. And in essence, we just got a lot of closure from her as well, because we got a little bit more of like what the Mudong had said. And yeah, so like everything worked out. There was this weird theory online. I don't know if any of you had seen it. Probably Derek has. I'm like 100% sure Derek has. But some people were thinking Gia was pregnant. And I'm thinking to myself, you do realize that... Exactly. I was about to say that. Like, the Korea thing was not like last year. This was like many years ago. So she's been pregnant like for years. Like, I'm like, what show were people watching?
Because there's a whole nother woman somewhere between Gia and Letty.
Yeah, the one in the bed that we never saw, but it's fine.
So she would have had to have been like a pregnant nine-tailed fox for like a while. Like she would have been carrying that baby for a damn long time.
Yeah, a fox baby does gestate for like a decade, so maybe that's what they were thinking.
Wow. Okay. No, I had not seen that, but I did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I did get into a very slight back and forth with someone when I said that, and we'll get to that part later, that all of these people of color sitting in the car on the way to Artem.
Oh, I did see that.
And this person decided to correct me that that was not the case. There was people of color and this Korean woman.
No. I remember you said there were black people and a Korean woman. And I'm like, yeah, which makes them people of color?
Yes. And I just had to say, okay, sis, and keep it walking.
Yes. There's some battles you just don't want to get into.
Again, sometimes you need an adult in the room with you when you're watching certain things because it's above me. Jeffrey.
Yes.
Actually, I want Jeffrey, and then I want Vanetta because I feel that Vanetta is going to fully be able to have a whole story about this. The cemetery scene.
Oh.
Letty and Ruby.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh God. Okay. So first of all, I loved the scene. Like from an acting point of view, it was acted beautifully by both of these spectacular actors. So there's an argument here because clearly Letty is feeling a certain type of way and Ruby's feeling a certain type of way. And both of their arguments, both of their points of view, I fully understand. And this is coming from someone who's an only child who does not have siblings. But I fully understood it. Like, I understood what Letty was saying. It's a dire situation. You know, we're family. Can you help me out? Can you help us out? And I fully understood what Ruby was saying. That you know, this is the same shit that you do. You did it at the start of the season. You're doing it again now. You're only coming to me when you need help. And I love the line that the writers threw in, where she was like, I get that you think this is different. I fully understand you think this moment is different than all of the others. But from my point of view, it is exactly the same as all these other times. And I was like, damn, that was like she shoved in the knife and then she twisted it. And it was beautiful. I loved it. I thought they did a fantastic job with it. I loved the little bit of information that we got. You know, we kept on getting throughout all these conversations, especially the personal ones, like little bits of information of stuff that we had questions about. The fact that that Letty was in jail the night or the time when her mother passed, so that's why she didn't go to the funeral. And in essence, she was kind of glad that she was in jail because she wasn't sure if she really wanted to go to the funeral and this, that, or the other. So all that information was really nice. The part that kind of bugged me, especially this was my one of the little teeny tiny quibbles that I had about the episode, and it's just because it's the finale, so I want all the information. So Ruby ends the scene and she's basically like, no, I'm not going to help you. And then Letty's like, but I have one more thing to tell you. ...
Right.
And in essence, we never really got that. I can kind of sort of assume something based off of a little flash of a scene that we saw when we were getting a crapload of flashes of stuff. But I'm still not really fully sure what she was going to tell her, because if she didn't know that Letty was pregnant, that would have been the moment. I have one more thing to tell you. I'm pregnant. Can you help me out because I'm pregnant? But that it isn't that, because she already knew that. She knew that from the beginning. So it's like, what is it that she said?
I know what she said.
Okay, tell me.
Oh.
So Ruby's whole thing the entire time for Christina, even though she knew that Christina was gonna kill Tick, she knew that would leave Letty without a father for her child. She knew this. She was okay with that. What did she ask Christina to do?
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I feel like I know exactly where you're going.
She only wanted Christina to protect Letty. Like, don't you hurt my sister. So there's one thing that you need to know. You need to know that this bitch already took that protection spell off of me. That's what you need to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That explains.
And that's why they cut it. I think that's why they cut away, because the scene right before that, well, 2 scenes before that was Letty holding her side saying, like, she took the invincibility away.
Mm-hmm.
And then she, I think that's what because multiple times Ruby said, like, you don't have anything to worry about. Christina got you. The fact that she took the protection spell off in a specific moment of pettiness
Yeah.
Yeah.
made Ruby feel like, yeah, she gonna try to hurt Letty. It wasn't about Christina might hurt Tick because she didn't give a fuck about Tick at all, ever. But she, in that moment, realized, like, oh shit, she might try and hurt Letty. And the whole conversation, yes, it was real, but the fact that Ruby refused to see that this was a different situation was kind of petty. She was holding on to some bullshit because many times in the last couple of episodes, we've seen her and Letty have conversations and Letty not ask her to do shit. Just they had fun, they had, like realness. Yes, she's asking you to do something in this moment. But for you to say, well, this is what you always do. No, it's not what you always do, because what if it was what I always do, I would have been getting something from you when we hung out at what's her name's house. Remember, Letty hung out with Ruby that time to help her take care of Dee and the kids.
Yeah.
So it's not, that statement was really petty and full of, like, that was designed to be a dig at Letty to make her feel shitty. And I think the other thing that that I don't think that Letty revealed the entire plan for what they were doing, what they had planned on doing, but I think she did let her know that, like, this is going to be a dangerous thing, and now I don't have that invincibility, and you know what, y'all need to like, we need all the help we can get, and we need that blood. And I think Letty just told her that, like, they were gonna, like, like they told Montrose that, well, we're just gonna turn the spell around on her. That's what I think was said. And I think that
I had not thought about that.
Okay.
But okay.
I agree with you on that. Although I will not let you besmirch Ruby. I feel like she was 100% in the right. I feel like she was 100% in the right to talk down to Letty. And I think, according to her POV, what she said was her truth. I understand. We know that it's a dire situation, but for her, it's once again Letty coming over and asking for favors and shit. And why? Like, that's all. That's all that you do.
Oh my God! This coming from the same woman that is like, I want to be a redhead now. I can
thank you.
basically kill another woman because she's like, I don't want to be you anymore. Now I want to be a redhead. Like, come on! She totally went dark side.
You can't let
She was
her
drinking all
enjoy
of
her
Christina's
magic
Kool-Aid.
and her boo thing.
My God, you totally drank the Kool-Aid when you went with Ruby. You're just amazed by all of her splendid acting. But like, come on, she totally went dark side.
I'm not listening anymore.
The irony, the full irony, is if Christina hadn't been such a bitch and did the whole thing with Ruby and switched the blood, she just would have not gotten, like, she would have just not gotten her spell cast correctly, right? She would have done the spell, they would have done their counter spell, and then that would have been it. And she might have died, but she wouldn't have died in the way that she died. But she
True.
set that thing in motion because given the wrong blood, that made the other part of their spell not work. So, she get what she gets.
Well, if you think about it, at the end of the day, they didn't really even need Ruby to do anything. We're not there yet, but just think about it.
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
But the point is, they gave Ruby They gave Ruby a good. We'll get to that.
Okay, yes. Because we still have to talk about her conversation with Christina, which I thought all about you, Derek. Are we jumping there?
Yes, that's the next part. Yeah.
Okay, because so they're having this conversation, and in essence, we don't really know at this moment what Ruby's going to do because we didn't get the whole. But wait, there's one more thing. And so she's having this conversation with Christina. She's looking at her doing all this, the everything that she's preparing for her moment. And she starts to, in essence, seduce Christina. But she's seducing Christina as Christina, not as William. And Christina asks her, "Have you ever done this before?" And she's like, "No, it's my first time." And I was like, she stole Christina's line. And I loved it. I thought about you because you always bring up the times when Christina's like, "It's my first time, it's my first time." And this time, it was Ruby's. And I was like, all right. But then
for the record,
yes.
I don't think she was trying to seduce Christina. She genuinely began to care about Christina.
I don't disagree with that.
Fell her ass out that car. Ruby was concerned.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with you on that. I think she was, in essence, she's trying to seduce her because at the end of the day, she was going to help her sister. And so she had to. I really don't understand. Like, here's my thing. Because, she does end up showing up with a vial of blood. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm already thinking, how the fuck did she get that out of her? Is it like, was the sex so good she fell asleep and then you prick her with a needle and she's not going to wake up? Like, I was confused.
The blood was in the vial that she showed her earlier.
Okay.
That's when she
yes.
When she explained the spell that turned her back and forth into William.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, the vial was there.
Added parts of herself to it.
You're right. Yes.
Yeah, but she looked at the vial at the very beginning. Like, that vial was like half full, but the vial that she gives Letty was like entirely full. So I was like, did you feel that at some point?
Yeah.
I just assumed that she had gotten the blood from, like, that Christina kept a couple of vials in like a refrigerator, like the vampires do in all those vampire shows. They always have vials of blood and shit.
Yeah.
I figured that she had that because she said she combined parts from his blood, from her blood and hair. And then Ruby asked the question like, well, I was going to ask you how you got that from me, but I guess I know how,
All right. Now for the second time that I just kind of fell apart. Life could be a dream.
Shaboom.
Was anybody else nervous in the car ride?
I was into that song. I was just like, okay, now at least we can have a moment of joy, even though I was kind of with Montrose where I was like, I don't know if I can be a part of this happiness, but it was nice to have that moment of joy.
I was already like mistrusting Ruby. I was like, you lie, something is wrong with this situation. So when she started singing, I was just kind of like, this happy song is just full of bullshit.
This happy song is full of bullshit. How dare you? As far as this moment, watching the episode, I thought it was a nice breather, in essence, because I feel like we were all holding our breath up until this point, and this was our moment to relax. In a horror movie, you're like never supposed to relax. So when you relax, that's when they get you, and we clearly got later on. I would assume out of all of us, I would assume you knew.
I ain't going to be honest. I did not know.
You got?
I got. But this was
wow.
This is why I was bringing this part up specifically because I had to I had to write about this. I was a bundle of nerves the whole time they were singing that song. I just kept waiting for something to erupt from the ground. I kept waiting for the police to pull them over. I kept waiting for some shit to fall from the sky. I kept waiting. I was nervous because, and here's the reason why. In this country, we have learned as people of color that we cannot just be in our own space, enjoying our own authentic selves without some bullshit. There's always some bullshit. And that they were too much, as you said, Jeffrey, they were too at peace. It was just a moment. It was just a moment of, we're gonna sing this little song, we're gonna do this little ditty, and we're gonna have just for a couple minutes on this drive, we're gonna just let our hair down and let it go. And as existence has proven in this country, even in our own homes, we cannot be 100% at peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so that scene was probably more nerve-wracking than anything else. And when Artem came up, I said, oh, Lord Jesus, nothing happened to him. Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, there was a part of me when they all got in the car and before the music was playing, I did wonder, are we going to get a moment because all of the characters are together? And I did wonder, are we going to get a real horror before sort of like the supernatural stuff with like a cop pulling them over? Like I did think that before they started the musical number. For me, I did breathe a sigh of relief when they got into the musical number because I didn't think they were going to interrupt it. I thought this was going to be the one, in essence, happy family bonding moment before the shit hit the fan.
Right. Again, somebody posted that some white person posted they couldn't understand where everybody was going on and on about Lovecraft Country. Where are the monsters?
You're one of them, bitch.
Right.
Sorry.
You can't see the monsters because you are the monster. All right. So we arrive at Artem, putting the plan in place. What does he tell him? Just chew and choke.
Chew and swallow.
And I love the use of the salt throughout the episode. Vanessa, salt.
Man, I totally thought we were watching an episode of Supernatural.
Everybody knows what the salt is for then. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You can also put it around in a circle and it keeps the Sanderson sisters from grabbing you.
Is that what happened in Supernatural?
No, that's what happened in Hocus Pocus.
Oh.
That's how you keep Bette Midler away.
Who wants to keep Bette Midler away?
I know. She'll sing I Put a Spell on You and then we're all happy.
Most of the time I don't like people recreating Nina Simone, but time was okay.
Yeah.
So the tower.
Lord.
We're at the tower and we get the reveal. So yeah, for the record, they got me.
I'm really surprised. And the only reason I'm surprised is because out of all of us, like you really have done a really good job of rewatching the hell out of the episodes. And like you always tell us, oh, I picked up on this and they showed this there and they showed that and there was foreshadowing and all this kind of stuff and like hidden foreshadowing that we didn't know about. And so I was like, I think Derek knew. Because everybody on the internet not everybody, but there were a couple people that pointed out that in the premiere, when she's doing the music number at the block party, someone asks her or like life can be a dream, and she was like shaboom shaboring. And so someone
want to hear that white shit from the radio.
Exactly, and so somebody online was like, I knew. The moment she sang the Shaboom song, because it was the white version of the song that was playing. She was like, I knew that was not Ruby because she would not have sang it. And I was like, damn, that's like a callback to like
That one
6,000 years ago.
That one got past me. And I had watched the first few episodes again. I didn't realize something was off until she started talking about the witching hour. And this is a testament to the actor, because when she started talking about the witching hour, she didn't sound like Ruby anymore. It was the way she was, it was her cadence. And I said, something ain't right. Damn, Ruby dead. Damn it.
I'm not putting that out into the universe.
Oh, Ruby dead.
I am not putting that out into the universe.
Yeah, Ruby's dead.
I am not putting that out into the universe.
The only reason they would ever like bring her back is if we get a confirmation that there's gonna be a season 2. If we get confirmation there's gonna be a season 2, they're gonna pull some bullshit that, oh no, Christina put a coma spell on her for a watch to take her blood. Like, they're gonna pull some bullshit like that.
Even if there is no season 2, I am not putting that out there into the universe. Because just because someone is comatose does not mean they're dead.
She's not comatose. She killed her. She said so.
She might have said that because she thought she was going to be successful. But I'm not putting that out there into the universe. Vanetta hasn't said anything yet, so maybe she might agree with me.
I was just about to ask Vanetta, but I already know what Vanetta answered.
I know, she'd be like, she's dead.
2 different things happened, though. So we saw William was clearly dead, but she said she kept him in a comatose state because that way she could continue to get his blood.
Right.
Dell didn't die. She was put in a coma by Letty when she knocked her on the head.
With the shovel.
Yeah, that is how you put people into comas.
Letty with the shovel in the clock tower.
And so it is possible that Ruby is not all the way dead, that she's mostly dead. And if someone's mostly dead, that means they're kind of sort of still alive. But that's just, it's a hope, because at that time, people didn't often recover from comas.
True
medically
that.
induced or not. Especially if they were magically induced.
She didn't need any reason to keep Ruby alive.
Thank you.
Well,
that was my thought process.
She was never going to trust Ruby again, because Ruby had tried to do her dirty, and she didn't need to impersonate Ruby anymore because all the rest of these people was gonna be dead.
But this is a whole lot of ifs, and I'm only doing these ifs because I want my girl to be alive.
I know.
If Christina really did, if there was a part of her that at all really cared about her, I could see Christina at the end of it all, because clearly she doesn't have the time to really have to deal with any of Ruby's betrayal. I could see if she thinks she's going to succeed, she will be immortal afterwards. She put her in a coma to use her in essence, so that she can, do what she needs to do. And then afterwards, when she's immortal, she'll go back, she'll get her out the coma, they'll have a little talk, she'll try to rekindle the romance. And that's for the people out there that believe that their romance was real. Because there were a lot of people out there that would Christina and Ruby and Christina and all this kind of stuff. So there's that. But at the end of it, and I'm not going to jump to that, but at the end of it, the rules have changed. And so if she is, whether she's comified naturally or comified magically, they would be able to fix that, in essence. So that's why I feel like Ruby, whether there is a season 2 or not, if this is just a one and done story, you can still, you can manipulate the situation in your mind to be like, okay, she could still be alive. And that's what I'm doing with my mind.
I feel the reach.
Yes, I am reaching out and I am touching it.
But I do want to applaud Letty for these hands.
Yes.
Oh my God. So much of these hands.
I want to applaud Letty for these hands because that's what Christina caught.
It was not the fight that I was wanting to see, but it was the fight that was wonderful to see. There was a moment where I really wanted her just to like in almost like in a cartoony kind of way, just to like stand like not stand but stomp on her fingers.
Yeah.
When she kicked that trap door open, I was like, just fall. But we couldn't have her fall because we needed to finish the whole thing. But dang.
Well, not just that, but the fall wouldn't have killed her. So
yeah, would have cracked her back though.
Well, she still had the invulnerability spell on her.
No, her back would have cracked. Would have popped at least.
No, she'd get hurt when she got flung out that car.
Yeah. No, I mean cracked as in like when you crack your back, not like literally crack. Yeah.
So Dee has been left in the car alone by herself.
The internet was pissed. Did you read any of that? You were pissed too?
Pissed, and I was not. No, I was not pissed.
Oh, okay. The internet was like, you know, Dee had this whole conversation about not being left behind, and then they leave her behind. And I'm like, they're leaving her someplace where they believe she's going to be safe, away from all of the shenanigans.
Yes.
Like, okay. Like, I did not understand why they were so pissed.
Leaving her behind would have been leaving her back in Chicago.
Exactly.
Well, the thing I thought about was that Dee had the flashlight. And we knew from episode 1 that the Shoguns, they're not friends with life.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, maybe Dee will be cool, even if the Shoguns do come back because she's got the flashlight. And I was really like, she gonna be good. And I was really excited that she was reading a book, because I feel like that was important for her to know about.
Yeah, she was reading the book.
Thought that was cool. I wasn't upset that she was in the car. I just want to say the fact that they put her in the way back of the car. I can't tell you how many times I rode like that in my car with my family in the way back. And we used to call it the back seat. So like there's the back seat and there's the way back, the back seat. And so we would flip back and forth over that back thing into the trunk part multiple times. I don't remember having a car that wasn't a station wagon until I was in high school. That's how many station wagons we had growing up. And that was just awesome. Her being back there while she's reading that book, that was me.
And you could do that before all these seatbelt laws.
Mm-hmm.
But she was not left by herself.
No, she was not.
No.
She had a protector.
She was left with Blagoth. That's what I call him now. And he did his job. And, well, I'll save that for later. Oh, you know who else had hands? Hippolyta.
Oh,
yes. All the
yes.
hands. But we knew that she could throw it down because we saw her.
Yes.
She named herself.
She named herself, and she named some other people victim.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, we missed this part. But since we're talking about Hippolyta, when she named herself Mother, and that's what brought her back. I thought that moment was so powerful. I love that. I love that line. I loved her delivery. Dee wasn't having it. We already discussed why Dee wasn't having it. But I was like, wow, that was just a beautiful moment for her.
Going back to we had this conversation before we started about things that are from the past that people in the present don't know. I saw a number of people asking, who is Jake? What is this Jake? Everything is Jake.
Oh, everything's Jake. Yeah.
My uncle used to
I
say
said,
it.
oh,
So.
the youth. Oh, the youth. So
You can Google slang people. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry, say what again?
No, I was just saying, you can Google slang people. Like, you just type the phrase into the Google.
But you have to know that it's slang.
I don't know how they did not realize that was slang. Like I don't know, maybe I'm just different, but like when I hear a phrase and it's just said commonly, like I'm like, okay, that must have been how they talked back in the day. So you do, you go to the Google, listeners,
But
and
they
you
said
type it in.
earlier in the season.
See, I don't
said it
remember
before.
I don't remember them saying it earlier in the season.
I don't remember where they said it.
When the kids were talking, somebody said everything is Jake.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe when it was the seance or something?
Yeah, like one of the
I was
times
more
where
focused
it
on
was
the
just the
Ouija board.
kids.
Anybody else think Letty was going to get back up?
I
hoped.
At that point, I was so. It was too much for me. I was like, damn it, we lost Letty and we lost Tig. And then when she did get back up, then I was like, well, how in the hell did that happen? I have like two different competing ideas of how that happened.
Same. I wonder if it's the same ones.
Okay, let's hear them. Hold on, wait. Priscilla, how many do you have?
I only have one.
Oh.
Okay. Priscilla, what's yours?
Mine is that Christina knew that like magically she was supposed to like protect Letty. That's what Ruby said. So right before she hit the ground, she cast the spell again to protect her. And it protected her, but it knocked her out when she fell to the ground. So that's why she was like knocked unconscious for like the set amount of time that they were casting the spell, and Atticus was in trouble and shit like that.
An hour and a half.
Okay, so that was one of the ideas I had.
I figured.
The other idea I had was that in that moment, when he realizes that Christina has the book, and he realizes that that something must have happened to Letty. I think that I had this thought that he willed her to have the mark again, because they talk a lot about like the having to use the words, but then him being able to will magic before without having to use words meant that he had some, he may have had some magical in his blood, and especially because him and Letty had become so protecting of each other, like so connected, and all of the things that they had done just in the last 24 48 hours. I thought maybe that was something too, but it was hard to tell. And it is possible that that Christina did do it, but I couldn't figure out why she would have done it, because she had already killed
Ruby.
That's because she's not dead. She's comatose.
Yes, she could just be comatose, but
yeah. I have a different one. So I did read what you said, Vanetta. So people have been thinking that as well. Some people, I've read another one where they think that when Christina was absorbing Tick, that somehow Tick, through the power of will, in essence, manipulated Christina's invulnerability and sent Christina's invulnerability over to Letty. I feel like that's a whole lot of thought process. So I don't know if that, I don't know, that sounded much more complicated to me. But they when I read that theory, they sort of backed it up because, like, as that was happening, that's when Letty woke up, and so that's why they think that that's happened. I think probably the most obvious one is that it was Christina, and I think part of it is because she did care for Ruby, and I think that's why, maybe there was a guilt inside because she did have this connection with Ruby and she did make the promise, and she realized that she did remove it out of spite for being petty and that kind of stuff. There's my other theory that's different is because at a certain point we see flashes of stuff that had happened, to sort of just fill us in on, like, oh, so that's how this happened, that's how that happened, that's how the other thing happened. There's a flash of what appears to be Ruby doing a spell. Now, clearly, we know that Christina was impersonating Ruby, so that could have been Christina as Ruby doing the spell. But, it does leave the door open to the option that maybe Ruby was the one that did the spell. I don't think it's possible just because of timing and stuff. But that I do like that idea as well, that it could have been Ruby, after everything that she spoke with Letty after that, and finding out that she wasn't protected, that Ruby would have, taken the extra step to try to protect her sister.
Could have been.
I need to go back and check who brought Letty back the first time. Okay.
Who brought Letty back the first time when she died?
Yeah.
Christina didn't bring her back. Her father did.
That's what I thought. Her father brought her back.
I thought it was Letty. I thought it was Christina because Chick was about to go do the ceremony, and Christina's telling him how, you have this magic in your blood. You're more powerful than you think. And he's like, and I need you to do this because I want you to help me, with my father. And so he says, I'm not doing anything because you just killed Letty and my Uncle George. And he said, I'm not going to do that. And so she was like, Christine, Letty's fine. Now let's go. And so I didn't get the idea that it was I almost said Titus, whatever her father's name. I didn't get the idea that it was the father that brought her back. I thought it was Christina.
No, but Chris legitimately says, my father brought you back. Like, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if that spell is still there. Because I thought about it. Letty is pregnant. The spell of protection would have probably had to be removed at some point anyway for her to give birth.
You're getting way too complicated.
I don't think so because birth does not threaten your life.
Yeah. Speaking of life, there was this whole thing online where they were like, I think her baby inside her gave her the protection spell.
Well, it is quite possible.
Maybe, but I was like,
when she goes into the ancestral plane, Letty's like, how am I here? And then Hattie says,
your baby
brought you here.
Yeah.
So that is plausible.
That is absolutely plausible.
Yes, much like Ruby being comatose is plausible. Thank you. Y'all just agreed with me.
So Atticus is Jesus now.
Yes.
All his wrist has been slit. Atticus is Jesus and Christina is Carrie.
Yes. No, but not his wrists have been slit. I was like, did you really need to do that to him?
She needed all the blood.
I know, and she was drinking it like a damn. I was like, oh, Lord. She was Carrie. You did notice that her dress turned like totally red. I was
Yes, it did.
like, that was really, really good.
Yes, indeed it did. Um, Letty gets there in time to say her I love yous. Cry number 3. And then she stabs that chick in the back with the blade.
Mm-hmm. That's how you take out a bitch.
I love that there was a certain point where Letty was saying the spell and Christina was telling her, it's not going to work, it's not going to work with my blood.
Yeah.
And then we get to Priscilla's favorite part. But Letty is saying the spell and pleading at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Just like she did in episode 3.
Yes, just like she did in episode 3.
Yeah.
Priscilla, where's your part now?
Where Gia just comes out of nowhere and is just kind of like, I figured out what I must do. I figured out what
Yes.
darkness I must possess to save the day, and just kind of gets in the middle of things and unleashes herself and ties herself to both the bad guy and the moon and just everything, and just, oh my god, it was just so high stakes and it's so good. I loved it.
This whole moment was a lot. Because
It was,
if you weren't paying attention to any of this, like really focus, because like what you were saying about Letty was like brilliant with what Journey was doing. Christina, in essence, laughing at Letty, and saying like it's over, like like I won. That was something. But also like Gia just like coming out of nowhere, and I don't believe she's ever been able to use her power outside of sex.
right.
So like her, taking that line which we heard before about, at becoming at one with the darkness, and like her becoming at one with the darkness, because like we keep on hearing that like there's no connection, the blood wasn't real, there's no way to connect us. And when you've got like, little fox tentacles that can bite, like you can get connected real quick, lady. She doesn't know this though. Like, Christina doesn't know that they have an X Factor, and the X Factor is Gia.
And it's funny because I think because she's pretending to be Ruby, she never asks who Gia is.
Right.
Yeah, she just assumes that Ruby knows her.
She assumes that Ruby knows her, so she doesn't ask questions. So she never gets the idea of how Gia fits into the plan. We don't get the full picture either, but we do know that somehow Gia is important because of what we know of Gia and what we know of her vision. And her whole thing, she kept thinking that she had to prevent Tick's death. And now we see that it wasn't about preventing his death. And
It was about
I
helping
love the
with the spell.
smugness of Christina to just be like, bitch, I got you. I won. I am immortal now. And that immortality lasted a remarkably short time. I was thinking, how's that immortality working for you?
So was the final spell, not the end, I'm not talking about the end yet, was the final spell and all of this that has been coming together for 10 episodes, was it everything everybody needed from this show?
Everything and more. Whew.
Like a part of me is like, well, what if next season there's a bad black guy? Like that doesn't solve everything. But another part of me is like, but it solves a lot because all these white people be coming up with bad shit, and the black people haven't been the ones that have been starting up shit. So I am fully all for this. So good on them.
I liked it as well. If this is a one and done series, then the ending is good. If they are going to have a season 2, which we are all hopeful for, they might explore what Priscilla said. But I mean, their magic isn't the only magic in the world.
No.
In essence, this magic comes from Africa. Because a lot of, I don't know if anybody picked up, but I mean, a lot of the spells, it's they were doing it almost with, they're words that sounded very like with the African dialect, the African tongue. And I was like, oh, I like that. I thought that was really, really nice.
Well, Titus went to places where people of color existed and took this magic.
True that. Yes.
And they tell you that in the museum when they talk about him bringing culture to these, savage people.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this isn't the only magic in the world. So there could still be other white people out there, racist white people with magic that's different. And then we can get into magic wars and that sort of stuff. So while it does wrap up the Braithwaite story and their stealing of an entire people's magic, it wraps that up. It does open the door for other stuff. So I did like that. In essence, Letty closed the door to white people stealing their magic again.
But it also, the other storyline that could be is that they cut off the magic, this line of magic, for all white people. Even though we only see Christina and then Captain Lancaster utilizing this magic, there are 34 lodges
Mm-hmm.
Right.
of some pretty pissed off white folks
Yeah.
in this moment.
They're
The
gonna-
only thing
they're
I
gonna wake up and no
really
magic.
wanted, I didn't need it, but I wanted to see that magic failing and them not knowing why.
Yes, which would be a wonderful second season. Like all these nomads coming up going,
We're gonna get
I'm a
to
Muggle now. I'm a
we're
Muggle
gonna get
now."
to we're gonna get to what we would like to see second season. Cry number 4 happened with the letter.
Well, the big cry for me happened before the letter. It was Montrose. Tick, wake up, Tick. Like, I was like, this man has no idea what just happened. And I felt for Montrose. The letter, you just added even more to it. Because I was like, good grief, Tick. You know how to say goodbye.
Well, he
Well,
gave
the
his father,
whole thing started with the letter from his father, like from Montrose.
and he
Mm-hmm.
gave his father a wonderful gift.
Yeah. You can be the better man now. Be the better father. You get a do-over.
And finally, Diana and Blagos. I'm gonna be
Help
honest.
me, D. Help me. Help me, D. Bitch, no.
I'm gonna be
Oh
honest.
my gosh.
This part wasn't so much necessary for the story as it just felt so good.
Can I give the different POV? Okay, I might be the only one. Priscilla hasn't said anything, but I might be the only one that feels this way. As a moment, I enjoyed it. Thinking about Dee as the character, I didn't like it. And
Okay.
I didn't like it because I didn't like that a child had to kill. And it just it bothered me. And I've read so many different interpretations of this online. Some people really liked it. Some people didn't like it. I didn't like it because I didn't like that Dee had to kill. Like, I feel like Christina as a problem, the adults should have handled it. Period.
Thank you.
Like, I feel
That's
like the adults shouldn't have had to have forced Dee to have done, even though they didn't force her, but Dee didn't need to finish it off. I kind of understand why they left her there. I mean, she's no longer invulnerable. She's crushed under rocks. Part of me understands sort of like the sadistic nature of just let her die and let her have a slow and long painful death after everything she's done to us. So I kind of get that. and I'm, at the end of the day, I'm fine with their decision. But because they added the scene where Dee sort of, in essence, stumbles upon Christina, and Dee, after everything she's been through, she has had to grow up a little bit faster. I get all of that. I love the reveal of the robot arm, which confirms what happened in the future with Tick in the book.
Yeah.
I liked all of that. What I would have preferred if they wanted to go this route is, Dee walks away and the Shoggoth bites her head off. Or I think I even would have accepted Dee looking over at the Shoggoth and saying, you know what you have to do. Because in essence, it's still Dee not doing it. The fact that Dee put her hands on her, choked her the fuck out with her robot hand, I think it's because she's a kid. Like, it just bothered me. I was like, you always hear on shows, period, death changes you, and this, that, or the other. And I like Dee as a character. It's not to say that she can't go being happy-go-lucky or whatever, or heroic in the next season, which we do hope there's a next season. But I don't know if she needed to have the death be
But
put
do you
on
know
her.
why she did it?
I do know why she did it. Everything that she's gone through, she read the book, and in the book it said you have to take him out no matter what, and so she has that fresh in her mind, and I get it. I don't like that she had to have done it. I don't like that
But
the
yeah,
writers forced it upon Dee to have to do it.
I guess
Yeah.
I can see that in one respect. I read some of those opinions, but there's another part in that happens a lot in horror and science fiction genre is that when at the end of the day, guys, and it's usually someone who we feel like is so innocent and had to grow up and had to endure all this stuff. This person has to kill that person. And they, it's like very much understood that this was the only option because this needed to be done. It's only a trope in black cinema, especially when we have a white protagonist that there's somehow we want to do like, oh, this we need to be the bigger person. Harry fucking Potter killed all those, you know, Death Eaters, right? And in the end, we don't even see Harry do the deed. We see Neville do the deed, right? Nobody sat there and go, well, Neville's a kid. He shouldn't have had to do that. No, we were like, hell yeah, good, you did it, because that was the big bad.
Because they were.
But we do that, yes, but we do that with black characters because we say, oh well, we need to be the bigger. She needed to be the bigger person. She shouldn't have had to change. She shouldn't have had what she went through. And then reading that part of the book, her comment was, they never learn. She was talking. The first time I watched it, I was like, she's talking about white people. I rewatched it and I was like, oh no, she's talking about letting them.
I always thought she was talking about her family.
And so when I saw it from that standpoint, I got it. If they had left Christina alive, even broken, now you got Christina coming back with no magic, being pissed off, trying to sneak and connive and use her white women tears to say that, they did something or, like whatever white women tears do, which we know is a lie. And it becomes a problem for the next day. Many of the things that they dealt with this season had to do with stuff that wasn't done in the moment out of fear or misguided feeling of heroism. Like, well, we won't do that. Because they could have, just so many times that they could have just set stuff straight in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So while I understand the concept of not wanting her to lose her innocence was lost when a curse was put on her.
She has lost her
There was never
father.
going to be innocence again.
She has lost her father. She has lost her best friend. And though she didn't lose her best friend to magic, so yeah, I agree with Vanetta that she was never going to be a happy-go-lucky kid. That wasn't going to happen.
I get that. I still don't like it. I've only seen the first Harry Potter, so I don't know if Harry Potter was murking people left and right. I can separate magical beings from a human, and I just didn't like that it was a kid having to kill an adult. Like, it's weird. Letty kills her, I would have been fine. Hippolyta killing her, I would have been fine. Any of them killing her, I would have been fine. But there was just something about having to have D do it at the end. It just, I was like, ugh.
But doesn't that add to the Lovecraftian horror of it all, to have it be at innocent hands, that blood be spilled? And doesn't it add to the horror of it also that, like, as maybe like a white viewer, someone who isn't Black watching it, that maybe this time around you don't have the benevolent Black person saying, well, we'll let you live this time around for once. This time around, vengeance was wrought and death was dealt with swiftly, because she learned that you can't leave growth to come, because then it comes after you.
That's a question I wondered. I wondered if white people actually watch the show.
Like, white people don't get it.
Well, yeah. Well, I would say a lot of them. I mean, there are some out there that I would say do, but I would say the majority don't. And I'm just like, how? Yeah, that's a whole nother question.
But that's all right. There's a few Black people that don't get it either.
Yeah, no, I've read all of that too. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Ahead.
No, it's just, yeah. I mean, I get all of the arguments, and I do get, yeah. It's a horror show at the end of the day, and that is a horror. I'm really, I guess this is going to lead you to the segue. I'm interested to see how they handle this in the next season. I'm sure they'll handle it spectacularly, because everything, at least in my opinion, was handled spectacularly in this season. But it did, just watching it, it's still, I'm like, oh,
My prediction for season 2 is we get a whole episode of Diana riding on Blaggett's back, running through the episode, taking heads, and no dialogue.
And the song to freak Priscilla out will be the never-ending story.
You're killing me, Smalls.
She will ride for 56 minutes. She will ride through the countryside with her atomic arm and her black saga. Chicago. They will be a team supreme. That is my prediction for season 2.
So did anybody else feel like when we see the flash of Tick putting Diana's hand on the black sugar, do you think that was him imprinting to protect Diana?
I absolutely do.
Yes.
That's what I thought too. Because when he showed up, I was like, hell yeah. Because when I saw her in the car by herself, my first thought was that Black Ops was there somewhere in the woods, laying in the cut, watching.
Like what?
Right? That was my thought. And then I was like, and if he's not, he can tunnel through that ground pretty fast, and get there, wherever he is. So that was my thought. And then when he showed up, I was like, see, all right, I ain't had nothing to worry about. I'm good. But when she's walking away and she looks at him and he's like, yeah, let me go on and get this howling at the moon out right quick, It's like, I was just like, now this is the kind of sci-fi that I would have loved to have as a kid growing up to see.
Any other predictions for a potential season 2? Let's talk.
Well, Ruby will be coming out of her coma. That's that's just a fact. Yes. I think if they do a season 2, all that rhymed. I think Atticus will be back. I do. And I think how they could do it is, maybe some time has passed, because clearly we don't know when they're going to film. If they do, number one, they got to be renewed. Number two, they got to set, the schedule, and, depending on the schedule of the actors and this, that, and the other, this could take some time, and hello, coronavirus and all that kind of stuff. So let there be a time jump. I imagine Gia is a part of the community. She's a part of the family, so she'll be living there in Chicago. A year or 2, 3, maybe even 5 has passed, so that we can have already Letty have the child, and maybe we can have a child that actually talks, and they, maybe they have magic and that kind of stuff, so we can see some of that. And Atticus shows up out of nowhere, and maybe some of the mystery is, how did Atticus return? I think that could be an interesting plot point for a season 2. I like the idea of competing magical factions. So we have, like, let's say, black people in Chicago that are being taught magic and that sort of thing. But then, a mysterious traveler or something from another part of the country who's got, like, I don't know, voodoo or some shit. We're introduced to different forms of magic and different interpretations of magic and spiritualism and that kind of stuff. And maybe that's where some of the conflict happens, because you need the conflict. Or maybe there's another, racist white dude that, learned a different form of magic that they, don't understand. And I think that's where that conflict could potentially come from another season.
I was going a different direction. If we have a season 2, I think Tick will definitely be back, but he will be back as an ancestor only. But I think that there, through the magic, you will see instances where Lee and George are having communion with each other, not because the world's falling apart and we need it, but it's like part of their regular practice that they commune with him. And the conflict is, as I said before, we have 34 lodges of people who had access to magic, and now they don't. And when they find out that it was Black folks that cut off their access to magic, they're going to be gunning for them. And so that will be the conflict of them gunning for them in that way. And the magical creatures that they have created through the Lovecraftian, concept that, like we saw the Shuggat was the only one that we really saw come to life during this episode, during this season. So we have all these other types of Lovecraftian monsters that can still come forward, and maybe they're hiding out, like, in other parts of the country. And as they continue the work, because the work still has to be done for the Safe Travel Guide, so as they continue the work for that, they start running across these people who are pretty pissed, and word has traveled through all of the lodges that this has happened, and that these are the people that have the magic, and they're, every time they go out, there's some kind of, like, somebody's trying to take them out because of that. And so they're, really get to use their protection magic. And maybe that's another thing, they start using their protection magic to protect the safe places so they don't get burnt down like that other place got burnt down. There's, like, magic that they will be able to use to protect those spaces so that people can be there and literally be safe. So, like, there's all of these. I think that that's where go. I don't think. Yes, we know that there are other magics out there, but I think in the interest of world building, beyond just Tick and Letty, since this whole season was really focused on Tick and Letty and their relationship and their family. Having it still be centered around Letty, um, Hippolyta, Montrose, and then what they're doing to carry on this legacy. Because definitely the whole purpose of Tick dying was for the legacy of this magic to be passed on through their family. So that's my thought process.
Priscilla, you got one?
It'd be nice to see Montrose handling of his grandson and how the cycle of abuse can stop with just, I don't know, talking and some therapy and some, I don't know, some time passing between the people. So that would be nice. And I don't know, maybe there's a part of me that kind of wants a reboot, that kind of wants to follow another family and follow to see what would happen if in another area of the world there's trouble with their side of magic going on or with their chapter of the lodges and we could see later a connection between um Letty and their group and the group that we'd be following for season 2 and have them meet up. That would be interesting to me. And that way you wouldn't have to be like, well, does Tick get to come back or does Ruby get to come back? Like, that would solve those types of questions. We could have, I don't know, a whole brand new cast and it would inject some new blood. It'd be interesting.
Ruby coming back is not a question. It's a fact. Thank you.
I just want the show to come back and be beautiful, and I will trust Shaniqua to do what she does.
Did you call Misha Green Shaniqua?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you call her Shaniqua?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I can't remember her name.
Misha Green.
Misha. Yeah.
Well, what I'm hoping though is should they come back with the season 2, that it is penned by Matt Ruff, because we know what happened with Game of Thrones, and HBO does not have a good track record at this of having the source material be amazing and then subsequent seasons not from the source material. So yes, Misha Green did an amazing job, but we also know that the source material was also really strong. And so if he doesn't have a hand in it, I would be really concerned.
But
was that HBO
or was it the showrunners?
Or was that these two white boys that didn't really know how to craft a story once they didn't have a base in order to pull from?
Well, I think it's that. Craft a story. I think that it was a matter of they just had a very different writing style, and I can craft a story and you can craft a story, but if we are supposed to be writing the same story, we have to be able to craft the story in a similar manner. I think that there were lots of mistakes made with the ending of Game of Thrones, and it was such a tragedy. My concern is that HBO now sees that this is a definite winner and that they may not be as patient to allow for the crafting of a good story for season 2. That's where I'm concerned.
No. And let me be clear. I understand your concern. I'm not sure that after having seen the white privilege that took place with those two boys and Game of Thrones, I don't know that I can blame all of that on HBO.
Yeah, I feel like that was a showrunner problem.
Misha Green has done, 3 shows now? This is her 3rd show? As opposed to Game of Thrones being their first?
they were given an enormous, beautiful crutch that they just misused.
because they didn't understand it, because they were incapable of understanding. And remember, these are the same two people who wanted to do a slave narrative TV show in modern time. And when people complained, they didn't understand. Their thing was, but they're not going to be picking cotton or anything. They're not going to be working in the fields. This takes place in modern time. They could not hear that the problem wasn't the picking of the cotton. The problem was the slavery.
Yeah, I think this is a different situation. I trust Misha Green. I feel like she interpreted the book very well, and she made a whole lot of changes. I mean, the essence of the book from the synopses that I had read is in the show, but she did veer away big time, and episodes like Meet Me in Daegu is a big example of veering away from the source material and doing a really great job with it. I do like the idea of maybe, consulting with Matt Ruff because it was his book. And so, having a couple meetings with him, whether he wants to write a little, for example, Big Little Lies, which was also on HBO, the first season covered all of the book. And so when they did a second season, they actually consulted with the writer of the book that inspired season one, and they asked her to write, in essence, a treatment of what a second book would be, where the characters would be, and this, that, or the other. And that's what they used for season two. So there is precedent at HBO where, maybe Misha, they'll ask Matt Ruff to create sort of like a treatment for season two, where he sees the characters going, and maybe they can use that as sort of like the backbone of what they try to do in season two.
Well, I would like that.
And with that, we are going to move to our final round of most valuable player. State which character impressed you throughout the episode and why. Once a character has been chosen, they cannot be selected again, so choose wisely. I'm going to our randomizer, and Priscilla comes up first. Priscilla, who are you picking as your MVP?
Oh my God. What an honor to go first. Dang. I am definitely picking. Oh, this is hard because there were so many good ones, but I'm picking Gia for my favorite because she just, when she first came on the scene, I was wondering whether they were gonna like misuse her, whether she was just going to be a one and done character. But she came on and you immediately like noticed the connection between her and Tick, and it was completely like it was confirmed between Tick and her, and they allowed her to be more human than just a monster, and they allowed her to use what makes her a monster to save humanity, to save magic for those who deserve it. So good on the world, good on her. So yeah, definitely. And she was the only thing that saved that song moment for me in the car. That car moment, I was totally being like, oh my God, Ruby, you are lying to the family, but this scene is cute because Gia is singing. So yes.
How dare you?
All right. Vanetta is next. Vanetta, who's your MVP?
G motherfucking Freeman. Um, I love how they utilized her in this. Um, as y'all know, I was very, very frustrated about the the ways that the grown-ups did not protect her.
You were?
Um, and now, like, I thought that they paid off the fact that they had left her so unprotected with Hippolyta coming back and, giving her this arm And also the fact that they gave her the book to read, knowing that the bibliophile that she is, that she was going to consume it cover to cover fairly quickly. I thought that that was really important for her story arc because it's another type of creativity that she gets to consume, kind of like how they always took her travel guides with them when they went on the road. Um,
Mhm.
I just really, I was happy for her, and I loved that she being, the children of the future, she being the future, um, interprets that information differently. So the past says, we'll just give her a chance. We'll let her die slowly. And Dee was like, no, this is not what needs to happen. And so she nips that in the bud. And I thought that that was great. And I enjoyed her triumph moment because did have a lot of she had a lot of anger, justified anger, and I loved how patient Hippolyta was with her. And of course, she's lived 200 years, and so she has a lot more patience than most Black mamas. So I appreciated that instead of her being like, "Girl, you better knock that bass out your voice. You better," she
You
was
better
like,
knock that out your
You
voice.
right. I know you don't feel it now." Like she was so patient. You don't know how important it is to see that type of patience
Wait a
be
minute.
given to a
Who, who,
Black
who
woman.
you who you MVP, Diana or Hippolyta? Because
I'm
you
I'm
moving over.
I'm
You
MVP and
trying to do it
Diana.
I'm
over.
I'm
I hear
glad
you.
I'm MVP and
I'm
Diana.
glad you clocked that.
Hippolyta, part of Diana's story. I was just proud that she didn't get her block knocked off. Because if my mama had told her mama everything is Jake in that attitude voice, she wouldn't have had no teeth.
Jeffrey, who are you picking for your MVP?
I'm glad you clocked that cheatation of the situation, because I was taking notes because I was like, all right, I get two. Um, I mean, Priscilla, you get one more.
I
Oh,
only gave one.
okay, yeah, let the record show. Um, First off, I will echo what has been said. There were many MVPs. We could probably do 2 or 3 rounds because I feel like everybody was outstanding. But much like I feel like everyone's has been obvious so far. I mean, it's obvious. I'm going for Wunmi Mosaku, not only because we are Twitter best friends, because she did like my tweet about 10 days ago, and I still haven't forgotten that. Um, she was just outstanding throughout the whole thing. I loved Ruby. I loved Christina as Ruby. I did love much what Derek said. Just the subtle change in Wunmi's acting to show us and to show Letty that she was not Ruby. I loved the one on one scene with her sister earlier in the episode. I loved the one on one scene with her and Christina a little bit later on in the episode. Shaboom, shaboring, but she was fantastic with the shaboom, even though that was no longer Ruby. I just loved everything Wunmi Mosaku in the episode. And if she is not coming back, I know I'm sort of teasing because I really do want her to return. But if she doesn't come back, I loved everything about Ruby throughout the entire series. I do feel like there's some character things that maybe we wouldn't be able to see. I don't know if we got a complete story with Ruby. Maybe if it had we had a couple more conversations between her and Letty so that there's full closure there. But the fact that we know at the end of it all, Ruby was on the hero side. She was trying to do the right thing. She was going to help out Letty. Christina caught her, and that's why she did whatever she did. I think it does give Ruby a full circle story, not to sort of steal the title of the episode. So I am cool with it. And I loved everything Winmy in the episode, so she's my MVP.
All right. Since you said obvious, who do you think I'm going to pick?
That's interesting. Because I feel like it was obvious for the three of us because of just we did heap a lot of praise on the characters that we picked. I'm trying to think back. Did you really heap a lot of praise on a character? If I were to go with my gut for some reason, I know you love Montrose, so I'm like, is he gonna pick Montrose? But I don't think you're gonna pick Montrose, which leaves for me maybe two characters that you would pick from. I think you'd either pick Letty or Atticus, and I could totally be wrong.
I am picking for my MVP for the final episode, Blaggeth.
Oh my gosh.
I could have picked that. I could have predicted that one.
That's my boy right there. He is my new spirit animal, and I think I've finally decided what tattoo I want to get on the body.
Oh. The question is where?
Hilarious. On
Right?
his butt, of course.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So we all know what the mouth is going to be.
Blaggeth is my MVP because he roll with you. He ride or die with you. He is a protector, and he needs his own show.
On Saturday mornings.
No, not on Saturday morning.
Okay.
On
Saturday
Saturday
mornings are
night.
no longer for kids, so
That's true.
because kids
All
have
right.
their own. They have their own app now.
Now for a final rating of the last episode of the season.
Do we really have to? I think we already know what we're gonna say.
Unfortunately,
Well, no, we don't know. We don't know fully. We know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
but
I don't know what Jeffrey's gonna give it.
Oh, really?
Oh, I know what Jeffrey's gonna give it.
Yeah.
I
The point system is allowed if you found the episode
Can we just all say
exceptionally
it at the same
deserving
time?
of more than 10 keys. You may grant it. What it says here is the coveted golden key, but I feel that with the number that Jeffrey has given out over the season, it's not really that coveted no more.
What I'm gonna say might be coveted.
Spices.
Can I go first?
Yes, you can.
All right. I'm giving it a platinum shoggoth. Because yes, I melted down.
Because you hated the D thing, so I was wondering if that was gonna affect your rating.
I did. I said I had a couple little quibbles, but I guess I didn't say this, and that's good that I didn't say it, but because it fooled you, it did not affect my feeling of the episode. I did have problems with it, but I'm fine with it. And I knew going into it that I was probably going to be the only one that had the problem with the D thing. But I knew it. But it was a really good episode. It was a great finale. If this is it, if this is all that we're getting in Lovecraft Country, it was a good series finale. Did it give us a little bit of questions at the end of like where things can go? Yes, but if this is it, I am satisfied. I would like more. I would love, I finished my first plate of food and I would like a second plate. Please, sir, I want some more.
Please.
Yes. So if we get more, and if it's just as good as this, then I'm going to be super excited. But I thought everybody did a great job. I thought the writing was top notch. There were some people, we didn't even talk about it, but I'll mention it here. Some people on the interwebs found it anticlimactic. I was
Again, people should not watch some shows without adult supervision.
Yes. I was like, what show are you watching? Probably the same people that thought Gia was pregnant or something. But for 100 years. But yeah, I thought it did do a great job of bringing the story full circle. Was it so heavily discussed that Tick was going to die? Yes, so that wasn't that big of a surprise. I think we all had hope that he would survive, but everything else was completely unpredictable. There were a lot of twists and turns. The Christina reveal was spectacular. I mean, it was very fast paced, but it still felt like an over an hour length episode for me at least. Like it was just an hour, but it felt like we got more. I still wish we had just a little bit more, but that's just a teeny tiny quibble. I wondered as I was watching it, could we have seen, some of the stuff that they flashed really quick? Could we have gotten those as scenes? But then it would have ruined some of the surprises. So I get why they did what they did. So I was satisfied at the end of it all. I thought it was a spectacular way to end the season, giving us all the answers that we wanted and leaving the door open with a couple of questions of how things could be done, who could possibly return, and that sort of thing. So in the end, it would be a gold key or golden key, but I'm calling it a platinum shoggoth.
So just for the record, 9 is the lowest you have rated the show.
All right. Thank you for giving the listeners information that they didn't need to know.
I mean, I could give out all your ratings, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
Because on average, you gave out a golden key.
Yes. It was good. I liked it. This wasn't The Walking Dead season 10.
Finetta, in which direction shall you be going?
I don't know. Got to give it a golden key. Okay. It was amazing. I really enjoyed. I felt this strange sense of sadness and relief with the way the show ended. Sadness because I was hoping that they were going to find a way around Tick dying. But as we started seeing all of those scenes that we saw flash in Gia's mind, as we start seeing them show up, I knew that he was going to die. I love how the ancestors instructed them. That download from the ancestors was so freaking powerful. It was powerful in so many ways because the only other time we see Dora was when we saw her tell George that it was time, right? And so she becomes this harbinger for death, for the season, because the 2 times we see her clearly is, her basically letting the adult Dora, that is, letting them know that it is time. But it was so beautiful because we've spoken many times about the immaturity of Tick. And we blamed a lot of that immaturity on Montrose, but seriously, it had a lot to do also with him losing his mother. And we never really got a clear understanding of how she died or why she died.
Right.
And so, that becomes another issue. Another piece that we just was so beautiful. I enjoyed this thoroughly, and I'm no longer fighting people who don't like it. I'm just, unfriending them because I don't need that energy in my life.
I don't need that negativity in my life. All right, Priscilla, what are you coming in? How many keys are you pulling off the ring?
This one is not hard. This one is totally a golden. It's like I didn't have any music that annoyed me this episode. It was all really good. I didn't have any characters that were sidelined. The ending was melancholy, but still like meaningful. Like it was a punch to the gut, but you knew, like, deep down you knew it was going to happen. Like you knew, like, from the beginning of like the episode with Atticus hugging his mom that he was not meant to last. Like this was not going to be a happily ever after. Like you were preparing yourself the entire episode for it, I feel. So it didn't come as a surprise. And it was a beautiful ending and a rounded ending. And I feel like all those people that are like, is it Is it rushed? Was it too much? No, I feel like it was perfect. I feel like the showrunners did a good job of completing everything and making it seem flawless. And the only thing I wish there was more time to just have more episodes, just because I'm greedy and want more. But if this is all I get, this is a great journey.
So just for the record, the ladies were a little more selective with their keys. Vanetta came in with her lowest at 8, and Priscilla came in with the lowest of the season with 6 keys for A History of Violence.
Ooh. I blocked that out of my memory.
Now, we all know how I feel about handing out too many golden keys. I've been very clear, because if you just handing them out willy-nilly, you have nowhere to go up. But I guess that is a testament to the absolute consistency of the show, because I'm giving it another golden key this week. Which, I'm going to be honest, this show has probably gotten more golden whatevers than anything else I've ever done on Pop Chulo Radio.
I think so. I think the closest was maybe American Gods Season 1.
I think you are correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I it was 9, 10s, and goldens all across the board for me. And, having gone back and looked at some episodes again, I might just gone ahead and change my vote. I don't know. Anyway, the episode was moving at many points, and there are a couple of people who I cannot wait to show this to, but because they are a little squeamish, I have to be in the room with them when they watch it so that I can tell them when to cover their eyes. But I think they will be willing to go through that to see this beautiful, beautiful story being told in front of them. And with that, we are now going to grade the season. I'll go first. A. And Priscilla.
This is about the time where I know that I gave that episode a 6, but there were so many golden moments too, so I don't want to ding it too much, so probably an A. Yeah, an A.
I blame Derek for reminding her about the 6.
Vanetta.
I don't know. An A++ with extra credit. I believe that this, whether they have a second season or not, this was an amazing season of amazing and epic storytelling, amazing and epic world building. As a person who is not a big horror fan, I thoroughly enjoyed it, except, those 2 times where I had nightmares, but loved all of it. And yeah, I've got all glows.
Okay. Jeffrey.
I love the series. It is very rewatchable because you will catch things the second time around. I thought the acting was top notch from beginning to end. All of the characters were incredibly rich. All of the characters had really interesting and well-defined arcs. I thought the action set pieces were spectacular. I thought the visual effects, kudos to the VFX team, because you all brought this world to life, especially when it came to the magical, the mystical, and the horror aspects. But I also want to give props to the showrunner and the writers for crafting small scenes and crafting them so beautifully. There was that one moment in this episode where Tick knows what's going to happen, and he takes his final look at Chicago looks outside the window, and then he turns around and he does sort of like this, not final glance, but in essence, it is his final glance at this makeshift family. Some of them blood related, some of them not. Some of them, it's just family that you've created. And that was just a beautiful scene as well. So they know how to craft these big emotional scenes, these small emotional scenes, these big action set pieces, and these small tender moments. And of course, this series and this episode gave us a line that will forever be my pickup line. Would you be willing to die to fuck me? So that was humor. But on top of all of that, I'm giving it an A plus. Hands down, it has to be an A plus.
And as we end this week's journey into Lovecraft Country, we would like to thank everyone for joining us these past 10 episodes. And now, here's our announcer to remind you on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for Greetings from Lovecraft Country and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. Co-host, for the final time, hopefully this season, please wish the listeners a good night, Priscilla.
Good night, everybody. Keep your show guts close.
Jeffrey.
Good night, everybody. Stay safe out there. Life could be a dream. Shaboom. Shaboring.
And a special one to Vanetta, who I had to talk into doing this podcast, and I am so glad that she joined us.
He got me to watch the whole thing week by week instead of watching it all in one day, which was incredibly challenging for me. But I am so grateful that I went on this journey with my friends. So good night, listeners.
From all of us here at Greetings from Lovecraft Country, we wish you a good night. This is Derek Anthony wishing you good night and safe travel.